Hey everybody, and happy Wednesday. We're going to go ahead and get started on our lesson for today. This is for April 15th for the Math 1, and this is on solving one-step inequalities. It's our first day. We're going to be building each day a little bit more. So we're going to solve inequalities the same way that we solve equations. So you hear me use the same vocabulary that I usually do as we get started, okay? So for our first example, part A here, we're gonna look at the inequality. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pretend that it's actually an equation. So I'm gonna write it down and I'm gonna change that to an equal sign, like so. And I'm just gonna solve like normal. So I'm gonna draw my line down my equal sign like I would normally. And then I'm gonna subtract 7 to both sides because on the same side as the x is a plus 7, and the opposite of adding 7 is subtracting 7. Okay, so I'll bring down my x down here. Plus 7 minus 7 is 0. I'll make a 0 there. Bring down my equal sign, and then 4 minus 7 is negative 3. Okay, so I'm going to go to my graph, and I'm going to go find negative 3. It's right here. And then if you look back at the original problem, it doesn't have an equal to on the bottom of it. So I'm going to draw an open circle at negative 3 because there's no line on the bottom here counting equal to. It's not included in the answer. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute a point to check and see where I should shade. If it should be this way or if it should be this way, since I changed it to an equal sign. Okay, so I can pick whatever point I want. As long as my answer is not 0, I prefer to use 0. 0 just makes everything easier. So I'm going to take my original equation here, x plus 7 is greater than 4, my inequality, and I'm going to substitute in 0. So 0 plus 7 is greater than 4. So I just substituted in 0 here for x. So 0 plus 7 is just 7. Bring everything else down. Now, is 7 greater than 4? Yes, it is. So that is a true statement. So that means I want to shade on the side that has the 0. So 0 is on the right side of negative 3. So that's where I want my solutions to be. So my solutions are going to be on this side, going this way, because that's the side where the 0 is. Okay? Now, I do need to finish up writing my answer as an inequality because it's an inequality when it starts. So if you look at this here, you can see that these numbers are greater than negative 3. So I'm going to write x is greater than negative 3 as my final answer there. There we go. X is greater than negative 3. Okay? And again, remember that this arrow also goes the same direction as this arrow. All right, so let's try another one. Okay, so again, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to rewrite it with an equation. And then I'm going to draw my line down my equal sign like I usually do. Okay, and then here I have 5 times x. So to get rid of multiplying by 5, I'm going to divide by 5 to both sides. So here 5 divided by 5 is just 1. So I bring down x, bring down the equal sign, and then 30 divided by 5 is 6. Okay, so again, I'm going to look back at my original. My original does have an equal to on the bottom, so I'm going to put a closed circle on 6. Okay. And then again, I'm going to pick a point to substitute in. It doesn't matter which point you want to pick. It's your choice. Let's just, for the sake of it, just so I can show you something else, I'm going to pick 7 this time. You'll see why in a minute. So if I pick 7 to substitute in, I'm going to write down my same equation. 5x is less than or equal to my 30. So that's my inequality, not my equation. Sorry, I keep saying equation. And so I'm going to substitute in the 7. So 5 times 7 is less than or equal to 30. 5 times 7 is 35. Is less than or equal to 30. Okay. So is 35 less than or equal to 30? No, it's not. That's a false statement. So I don't want to shade on the side where the 7 is. I want to shade on the other side where the 7 is not. So it doesn't matter what point you pick. If it comes out true, shade on the side that the true is. If it comes out false, shade on the opposite side. okay? Then I gotta write my final answer as an inequality, so I'm gonna go back here, x and 6 still, and then if you look here, these numbers that are shaded in are all less than 6, so it's gonna be x is less than or equal to 6. That's my final answer. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so looking at the next one here, we're gonna go ahead and get m by itself. Again, first I'm gonna make it into an equation. So I have m over -4 equals 2 first. Draw my line down my equal sign like I normally do. And then the opposite of dividing by -4 is multiplying by -4. So I'm gonna multiply by -4 to both sides since that's the opposite. Opposites eliminate. -4 divided by -4 is just 1. So I bring down my m equals, and then 2 times -4 is -8. Okay? So I'll go back up here and notice it's not equal to, so I'm going to use an open circle at -8. Open circle at -8. Okay, and then again, I'm going to pick a point to check and see what's going on here. So like I told you earlier, I usually pick 0. The only reason why I didn't on the last one is because I wanted you to see when it doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to pick 0 just to make my life easier here. So I'm going to go m over -4 is greater than 2, and I'm going to substitute 0 in for m. So 0 divided by -4 is greater than 2. 0 divided by -4 is just 0. I have 0 things and I'm splitting it up into 4 piles. So is 0 greater than 2? No, it is not. That's false. So I don't want to shade on the side where the 0 is. I want to shade on the opposite side over here. So that means my arrow is going to go this way. Okay, so I'll write my final inequality, m, and then I have my -8. Okay, and these numbers over here are numbers that are smaller than -8, so I'm going to use a less than symbol. And again, remember, your arrow here matches your symbol down here. Okay, one more example just to be sure we're okay. So last one here. Okay, again, I'm going to rewrite it as an equation. So -3x equals -9. Then I'm going to draw a line through my equal sign as I normally do. Okay, there is a -3 on the same side as the x, and the operation between them is multiplication. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to divide by -3 to both sides. So -3 divided by -3 over here is just 1. So I'll bring down my x. And -9 divided by -3 is 3. Okay, I look back up here. This one does have an equal to. So on the 3, I'm going to put a closed circle. And then I'm going to test a point. Again, I would test 0 just because it's easier, but it doesn't matter. You can test whatever you want. I'm going to rewrite the same equation. I'm sorry, inequality, I keep saying. -3x is less than or equal to -9. And I'm going to replace the x with 0. So -3 times 0 is less than or equal to -9. -3 times 0 is 0. So is 0 smaller than or equal to -9? No, it's not. That's false. So I don't want to shade on the side where the 0 is. I'm going to shade on the opposite side over here. So that means my solutions are going to be over here. Okay, so I write my final answer as an inequality. So I have x, and I have the 3. Okay, and then we saw that it's going this way. 4 and 5 are bigger than 3, so I'm going to put greater than, and don't forget the equal to sign because it was equal to earlier. Greater than or equal to 3. And again, that arrow matches the arrow here. And there's my final answer. Okay, let me know if you guys have any questions. Contact me through Remind, email, Google Classroom, whatever you need, I am available. Have a wonderful day, guys.